Germany. We can reflect on here in the United States, where many times when abolitionists would go speak and they would be shouted down and sometimes physically assaulted. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We've had episodes like that, but we have the great advantage that we're self-correcting because we have two parties. So one party goes over the edge, which is what happened with the abolitionists. I mean, they were assaulted, but the other party comes back at them and shames them for doing it. And slowly we make progress that way. Mm-hmm. You can't stop people doing foolish and even ugly things. But what you can do is have a system where those excesses are going to be reined in by a discipline from the other side. So pretty soon, the attacks on the abolitionists stopped because they were shamed. The majority of the people were not with them. What we have right now on college campuses is the complete absence of any ability to rein in and discipline foolish and evil kind of behavior.
It's fascinating. But I think this came out of your book. You said this is a symptom of a deeper problem, keeping folk from speaking, no longer devoted to the free exchange of ideas to uncover truth, talking about what's happening on college campuses and all. And you said it was a symptom of a deeper problem. Have you sort of already exposed what that symptom is in a few minutes together?
Well, the deepest part of the problem is the fact that the radical left has managed to cleanse the campuses of all competing opinion. That's the issue. And I mean, for example, let me give you one attempt to solve this problem was Chicago University adopted a speech policy, according to which, you had to guarantee on campus that no one was allowed to shout anybody else down. Everyone had to respect everybody else's right to speak and so on. Now, I'm in favor of that, obviously, but that's what I call a superficial approach to the problem. You could pass that rule, fine. So the rule is on the books. But what good is it to you when the campuses are full of radical leftists without any opposition? I mean, there can be no free speech when the entire professoriate goes in one direction only. You can't have free speech when you have that kind of pressure of one opinion.
Do we have to get into talking about hiring policy?
Absolutely. It's the only thing that matters, because while you have radical leftists in those classrooms, intolerant, indoctrinating radical leftists, you don't have a functioning university. If you want a functioning university, you have to have classrooms with real academic teachers, with teachers who care about those kids developing their own ability to think, developing a knowledge of the world, developing a knowledge of all of the wisdom that we've inherited from our previous generations. If you have the wrong people in the classrooms, which we do right now, then the one thing you have to think of is what can you do to get the right kind of people in the classrooms? And I see only one way to do it. I mean, I think society has to say to those people, when we set up the universities, we expected them to do a certain job. You people are not doing that job. Not only that, you people are people who have no interest in doing that job. You have no ability to do that job. That's not what your goal in life is. You want to do something totally different, something that's completely incompatible with universities. So you have to go.
Wow.
Because we have to be able to put into those classrooms real teachers.
That is a powerful statement. But unfortunately, it's only someone like you who could say that, who say, well, I'm set financially. No one can
Yeah.
So to come after me.
Yeah.
Is that making sense what I'm saying there?
Yeah. I mean, it's very difficult because this puts the burden on individual parents. It's a gutsy decision to say, I don't want to send my kid to college. You know, everybody else is sending their kids to college. Will I look mean? Will I look irresponsible if I don't send my kid to college? Well, what we have to is educate the public and say, no, you're not irresponsible. As a matter of fact, you're responsible. You're responding to the reality of higher education right now if you don't send your kid to college. You're actually doing your kid a favor.
Yes.
And you're doing society a favor, because if enough parents do that, then colleges, a number of them will start to fail because they won't have enough students. And every time a campus fails and has to shut down, there's a set of buildings and libraries and classrooms that we can then fill with real teachers, because they do exist, they are around. We could find people to put in those classrooms. And that's what I think we ought to do. But it's a very tough choice. I think what we have to do is we have to elect state legislators who won't vote money for state universities if all their faculty are on the left. I mean, the state legislatures might well say to a university, you know, we'll give you 2 years. As of 2 years, you get no money unless you can show us that you've stopped hiring only radical leftists. That's another way to go. But money is the key to this. You got to defund those people, because if you put money in university now through your taxes you pay, through tuition payments for your kids, or maybe donating to your old college you used to go to yourself. If you put money into this, all you're doing is funding the political activists who've hijacked higher education. That's all your money's going to.
Absolutely. Folks, this is Dr. John M. Ellis. We're interviewing right now, giving us a lot to think about. This is Book Talk with Corbin. Please check out my website, booktalkwithcorbin.com. You can see my other interviews, and please share them, like. We're on YouTube as well. Please subscribe and hit the bell notification. Professor, where can we get your book, The Breakdown of Higher Education?
Well, you can get it at Barnes & Noble, or you can get it at Amazon. Let me think, any kind of bookseller on the web. You know, there's plenty of them. It's titled Breakdown of Higher Education. The publisher, Encounter Books. You get it from Encounter Books itself directly.
Okay. Just
go to the website of Encounter Books.
Okay, we'll put that on this interview. Doctor, I want to thank you for spending your time with us, and hopefully we can do this again sometime, because this is a very important subject. And I think I said this earlier to my listeners. We had originally meant for you to come on and talk about critical race theory. Maybe sometime in the future we can have you come on and talk about critical race.
I appreciate that. That's also a thing worth talking about, and it's also worth talking about how this education situation right now affects Black students, especially.
Yes,
it's especially a tragedy, in my view, for Black students.
Yes,
it really is, because this is the time when upward mobility for people who need upward mobility should be happening through higher education, and it isn't happening. And so the people whose turn it was to be upwardly mobile are being hurt hardest, and that is a terrible tragedy.
Well, based on that, we definitely have to bring you back. Doctor, thank you again, and we will be in touch.
Well, thank you so much for having me.